What's up, everyone? It's Cannan, and welcome back to another RWBY video. Because I feel like I needed to make this video. I discussed a little bit of some of the stuff I'm going to be talking about in this video and the last one. But I've seen more and more posts about this. So, now once again, I do not claim to know everything there is in the production of animated series, whether that be Western animation or Eastern animation, which would be anime, but I think it's kind of self-explanatory if you explain it simply. So that is pretty much what I'm going to be doing in this video, because I don't want you all to be worrying anymore. I think the RWBY fandom has had plenty of sleepless nights at this point, especially some who it seems like literally will post about it every single day. Like since the end of Volume 9 to now, it's been constant greenlight Volume 10, and I want those people to finally sleep at night, like finally relax and stop worrying. So that's my goal today, is to make you feel better. Because there are still a lot of people kindly worried that Viz did not go ahead and confirm RWBY Volume 10, even though it's pretty obvious that the show, as an animated TV show or internet show, whichever way they go, is going to continue. But first, let's start off with how beautiful Viz's internet website looks right now. Where is my brain these last few days? Look at this. Now, this is art, of course, from Volume 9, but I remember this being used on both, I think, was it used on Crunchyroll? I can't remember, but I do know it was used on the Rooster Teeth site to promote Volume 9. But I love that Viz decided to give RWBY this big old spotlight right here, which I think there are still people who do not realize that, yes, picking up a show like RWBY is a big deal. No matter how many people on Reddit and Twitter and all that still say that the show has declined, it doesn't have this like it used to, it doesn't have the numbers anymore, blah, blah, blah. RWBY is still a profitable franchise. It's known throughout the globe. So yes, this is big news. It was to the point where even IGN, which, yes, my personal opinion on IGN is not that big, but you know, it is a big deal that other websites like IGN covered this announcement. So yes, it is very great to see RWBY get this spotlight on the Viz website. Now, what I want to, and really all you gotta do is scroll a little bit down here, click on this article that we went over the other day, and this right here is what I really want to focus on in this video. Now, we do not know if Viz was the first choice. We do not know. We do not know how many partners Carrie and other members of RWBY more than likely talked to. We don't, because they always talked about partners. And originally, they were talking to partners on funding the next season. Then WB decided to be all WB and decided to Zaslav Rooster Teeth. And really, we were kind of kept in the dark for most of it. I don't know if it'll ever come out. Like, we don't know if there was NDAs involved or if WB had them have to keep quiet, because business talkings do seem to be almost 100% confidential until like time goes by and it's pretty much a non-issue at that point. Then you will hear details about how certain business dealings went. We don't know if WB had any problems with who was interested in buying RWBY. Because, until that paperwork was finalized, WB kind of did sadly still have a say. If they weren't happy with a certain deal, if they weren't happy with the price, they could say no. They had full rights to say no legally to any kind of potential buyer of RWBY. Now, now we can tell by this that Viz made a very good offer and WB signed off on it. Now, Like I said, we don't know if Viz was the first option, and we do not know how many partners they talked to. Now, the biggest question that is still remaining with a lot of people in the RWBY fandom after this announcement, where is Volume 10? Why did they not just go ahead and officially say Volume 10 will happen? Why couldn't they at least say Volume 10 is going to happen instead of saying there's no news yet on a new season of RWBY? Well, that's exactly why. They currently don't have any information for us. I look at it this way. This is how I understand things. Volume 10 is more than likely finished as far as a writing perspective goes. Like I've said before, we know that Volume 10 had entered some phase of writing during and before the release of Volume 9. We do not know how much they started before Volume 9 aired, but we do know when it was announced that Volume 9 would be on Crunchyroll, and they brought up Volume 10 saying it had not been officially greenlit yet, but they had already started writing it. So, and that's been a little over a year ago, so I would like to think that Volume 10 is in some form or fashion finished as far as writing goes. Maybe a first draft, maybe a second draft, maybe the final draft, we don't know. But just because it's written doesn't mean that it's like halfway done. What Viz is doing right here is letting you know that even though they don't have no news yet, they're telling you, stand by. Just give us some time. Because I guarantee you, from the moment that before Rooster Teeth shut down to now, all they've been talking about is the deal. Getting those licensings, getting those rights, getting everything moved over to Viz and away from WB. And that's why you saw things like the actual seasons or volumes being removed from Crunchyroll. That's why you saw the soundtracks removed off places like YouTube Music, Spotify, iTunes, all that. I think the only ones that are still around are the ones that were done by Casey's band, OK Goodnight, because that's her band's music. It's not technically Viz's or WB's or Rooster Teeth, really. It was her band's music. So right now we don't have anything. And like I said, they probably spent the entire time getting that deal done. And I don't know if some people just expected it to sign a piece of paper and that be it, but no. It takes a while, even after you have signed that deal, for rights to transfer from one holder to another. Because you got to be very careful. You can't just come out in public and say you own something when legally and technically it still is owned by someone else. Now, I don't know as far as the RWBY and DC movies fall into. That's more than likely still owned by Warner Brothers because, you know, they own Superman, they own Batman, they own Wonder Woman, but they don't own the RWBY portion of it. So, I don't know if Viz will be able to sell those movies like through their website or through other distributors. We don't know, but they technically own half of it because of RWBY. So what happens now is exactly what they said. Viz is exploring the production of new chapters in the RWBY saga, and we will make announcements as soon as we can. What that means is that they've got to sit down with Carrie and whoever else they need to, and they need to plan out how RWBY is going to be made, the production length, how much it's going to cost, all that. And then once that's all set in stone, then you can announce that Volume 10 is greenlit. But even when it's announced that Volume 10 is greenlit, we're still going to have to wait a little bit. At this point, I wouldn't be surprised if Volume 10 does not air until 2026 at this point. Because once it's greenlit, then you've got to get the animatics and storyboard going. You've got to start animation. You've got to start recording the voice acting. You've got to start editing. You've got to start doing all of that. You've got to start getting it ready for the final airing. You've got to get a trailer ready. You've got to do all of that. So, and that takes time. I guarantee you just storyboarding takes a good few weeks. So I do not blame Viz at all for not having no information for us about Volume 10, and it's simply because they've got nothing set in stone right now. Now, how long are we going to have to wait? I know earlier today someone said they hope they have something at San Diego Comic-Con. I don't know. I don't remember when San Diego Comic-Con is. I probably should have looked that up before I started the video, but I didn't even think about it. But if San Diego Comic-Con is like next month, I don't know if that's enough time for them to really have any information for us. Like, I don't know how long it would take them to plan out a production, but I do know it does take some thinking into. Let's see, when is San Diego Comic-Con? What are the dates for 2024? July 25th, 28th. No, they won't have anything by then. I don't even know if RWBY will be there at that point. And really, if they have nothing new for us, I'd be okay with them not being there. I'd rather them be sitting down and plotting this out. Plus, you gotta remember, they've got to plan out what they're going to put the old volumes on, putting the soundtracks back out there, and coming up with new merch. Because I guarantee you, Viz wants new merch ready for whenever the new volume does air. So yes, we don't really. It's hard to timeline that stuff. Like, I wish I had some insight on how long it does take to plot out the production of a 12 to maybe 14 episode long show, but after we've heard how expensive it was to make RWBY, I can guarantee you that they're definitely looking at cost. Hopefully nothing gets cut. I would like to think Viz has a substantial bigger budget than Rooster Teeth ever had. I don't know if they have WB's budget, but from what we've learned, WB never really gave Rooster Teeth any of a substantial budget anyway. So, if you're still worried about Volume 10, I'm not going to go as far as saying you really shouldn't be, and I'm not going to go as far as to say you don't really have to use the Greenlight Volume 10 hashtag anymore, because it's kind of obvious that it's going to happen. It's just that they have to be ready for it. But if you want to use the Greenlight Volume 10, go right ahead. I do not think there's any problem in still using that. I just don't think it's uncertain anymore, if that makes sense. But yeah, that in hindsight is really why they did not give us an announcement. And that is because they just simply don't have anything. It's wild to think that Finding RWBY a New Home took that long, and more than likely it didn't take that long. Like I said, we don't know if Viz was the first choice, but they might have been, and it might have been Viz they've been talking to this whole entire time, and maybe it just took longer than expected. Because remember, in that live stream, they said they'd have news for us in the next couple of weeks. Almost 2 months went by. So I think they probably did run into some hiccups. I don't know if WB was the reason for those hiccups, or it just took longer for the ink to dry than they thought it was going to be. But I think at the end of the day, we need to be happy that RWBY has a new home, and that Carrie is still involved, and it's very obvious that Lindsay, Kara, Aaron, and Barbara are going to still be the voices of RWBY, Weiss, Blake, and Yang. I'm actually really wondering, when is Lindsay going to come back as RWBY for the RWBY VTuber stuff, because I really enjoyed that. I really hope that Lindsay does another collab with the V Shoujo girls, because that was a fun stream to watch. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I'm really excited what kind of new merch that they come out with. Hopefully it's not as expensive as Rooster Teeth's merch was, and hopefully it's not as bland as it could be. I'm sorry, but like $50 or $60 for a plaid shirt with a small emblem on it, that was kind of bad. So hopefully no more of that. Hopefully we get some really good stuff. I don't know if Viz will do it exclusively like Rooster Teeth did, or if they'll send them out to retail stores for them to sell. Hopefully, because I enjoyed the days where you could go to like a GameStop or an FYE or something like that and find RWBY merch. So we'll have to see. But yes, guys, get some rest. Don't worry as much anymore. I promise you that Volume 10 is going to happen. It's just going to take time. As soon as they have a plan, because also you don't want to announce a volume and then take forever to give us an update on at least a release year. That's what trouble most video games run into. They'll give us an announcement way too soon, and then we're waiting like 2 or 3 years before the next update. Now, of course, RWBY's not going to take that long, I don't think. I wouldn't like to think so, but I'd rather them wait and them definitely know when it's, at least give us a release year, instead of them saying, oh yeah, Volume 10's greenlit, and then leave us in the dark for a year or so. So just be patient and give them time. I do not think it's going to be at San Diego Comic-Con. That's way too soon. Unless they come up with a production plan like that, it's going to take some time. Hopefully by the fall, we'll hear something. It might not take that long. Who knows? I could be 100% wrong. I hope I am. I would love for RWBY Volume 10 to air next year, but I don't want it rushed. I don't want anything cut. I want RWBY to finally get what it's always deserved, and that's a huge budget, all the time in the world, hopefully longer episodes, but also I hope they answer very soon when they do announce Volume 10's coming out, and maybe potentially when it can come out. Are we still going to be able to react to it? Are we still going to be allowed to do RWBY reactions, how we've done them in the past? So I hope someone asks that question. I hope it gets answered. But yeah, only time will tell, guys. But I wanted to touch upon this again because, like I said, since I've seen this announcement, there's still a lot of people that are worried about Volume 10. And I mean, who knows? Who knows what else they got planned? They might have more manga planned, and it sounds like they may even have like side stories planned. Because what was said, even more great stories featuring the characters you know and love are in the works. So right here, it kind of sounds like they do already have something planned, and that's already being worked on. But it sounds like it could be like a side story, like maybe another Team Coffee story or something like that. We don't know if it's books. We don't know if it's anything animated. We don't know yet. But it sounds like something's being planned. But the big meaty thing that they need to take their time on and plan a production timeline on is Volume 10, the actual core show. So that's going to take longer than usual. But once again, like I said, point of this video was to help some people feel better, because the RWBY fandom has been down for so long. All I want to see is happiness and positivity. So I'm going to end that video here, guys. Not a very long video. I've got some other things planned that are non-RWBY related for the rest of the week. But unless we get more news. If we get more news, or if I come up with a random RWBY idea, it'll be RWBY again. But yeah, guys, Volume 10's coming. We just got to give them time. We've got to give them the time they need, and they said that they will let us know as soon as they can. As always, guys, this is Cannan. Thank you so much for the brand new subscribers. Me and Jess are tickled. I think as of right now, we're at 798. We only need 2 more subscribers before we hit, excuse me, before we hit 800, and then we can continue our climb to 1,000 subscribers. Thank you all so much. It means the world to me and Jess. As always, guys, this is Cannan. Me and Jess love you all very, very much. Stay safe out there. Take care of yourselves. Keep moving forward. Don't worry, guys. Volume 10 will definitely come. And I will see you in the next one. See ya.